You're saying they're brainwashing. Okay, you're saying these people that are experts in brainwashing is using the Department of Education to brainwash our children.
Yes.
What are they after? Why are they doing it?
Well, if you want to move a country from a free individualistic economy,
which we have.
Yes, or had.
Or had, okay.
To a planned economy, you have to do it through the schools. You have to dumb down and brainwash, change the attitudes and values. You have to completely, social engineering has to go on constantly. And many teachers know what I'm talking about. And people are going,
oh my God.
I don't think this had anything to do with Trump directly. You'll see the video. I think it's a little bit older, but it does speak on perhaps why a lot of people feel strongly about dismantling the Department of Education, and perhaps on the flip side, why a lot of people feel very strongly about not dismantling the Department of Education. So let's take a look at this video.
You're saying they're brainwashing. Okay, you're saying these people that are experts in brainwashing is using the Department of Education to brainwash our children.
Yes.
What are they after? Why are they doing it?
Well, if you want to move a country from a free individualistic economy,
which we have.
Yes, or had.
Or had, okay.
To a planned economy, you have to do it through the schools. You have to dumb down and brainwash, change the attitudes and values. You have to completely, social engineering has to go on constantly. And many teachers know what I'm talking about. And people are going to say, well, when did this start? And who on earth ever did this? Why would a plan like that be allowed to be carried out?
That's right.
Well, then you have to go back to 1934, which I will do, and we have to go to the three-pronged fork, okay? So I do think that the watershed year, although you can go back to the early part of the century when the Rockefeller Foundation and the Carnegie Corporation were deeply involved in education, and that it was decided then that Carnegie would deal with the international part and Rockefeller domestic. But then we moved on to 1934, and this was after World War I, and there were these educators many of them going back and forth to Russia, very admiring of the new system in Russia, the communistic system. And they wanted to put it in here in the United States. And so the Carnegie Corporation, that had always been involved in, trying to get us into world government after the League of Nations and all in 1917, they still had this goal. And of course, world government will be communism. I mean, it's really international socialism. That's what Lenin called it. So they've always wanted this. And
the Department of Education today is going along with that?
Yes, absolutely, yes. And so in 1934, the Carnegie Corporation produced, it took 4 years, they commissioned the American...
And just to give you a heads up, we're obviously not watching 11 minutes of this, but I just wanted to share the beginning, and we're going to listen to a little bit more. But keep in mind, when you think about college campuses, they've done plenty of studies where they determine like 8 out of 10, or it's either 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10, something like that. College professors are liberal Democrats. College campuses are some of the most liberal bubbles in America. It's not balanced. So when people say that they want diversity, equity, and inclusion, why does that energy never come why is that energy never based on ideals, perspective on life, thoughts, how people see the world? Diversity is simply just based on the color of somebody's skin, right? It's based on, okay, we need sexual preference. It's based on handicap. But why do we not want diversity of thought? Why is it okay for a college campus to be dominated with liberal ideology, but then at the same time, we're saying that we want diversity, equity, inclusion, because when you get people that think differently and see the world from different perspectives, that you achieve more, that you get a better result. So when you have the Department of Education, people have been saying this for a very long time. Black leaders, white leaders, all different types of leaders have been complaining about the programming that goes on in the public school system, especially the programming. It's no different. They've solved the problem. They've solved the problem of parents. Since kids are no longer working on farms, parents need somewhere to put their kids during the day, right? So it's just a nice way of or it's a way of getting babysitting, right? Put them in public school. That's the babysitting. Oh, so we can incentivize them to have this babysitting, right? Free education, even though you're paying it with their taxes, but the appearance of free education, we can incentivize them to be able to babysit their kids. But while they're here, we're going to make sure that we program them a certain way. Now, a lot of people may say, well, we're not getting programmed. We're not. Well, sorry to interrupt the video. We got a new challenge. 20,000 by the end of April. We fell short in March, but we're going to get our goal this month. Thank you all in advance for those that are going to continue to like, subscribe, maybe even leave some comments and let us know how we're doing. And on that note, let me let y'all get back to the video and I'll see y'all soon. I mean, to each their own. To each their own. I don't know. I mean, the benefits of public school education, I don't know if I use anything other than the greatest part of public education, in my opinion, is the social aspect, learning how to engage with others. That's probably my biggest takeaway of what I use from this quote unquote education. I don't know, but to me, it's more programming. It's more getting us to think a particular way, to see the world a particular way, to read history from a particular lens that allows our country, America, to then get into different disputes, but at least we'll always be able to say, oh no, well, we grew up thinking that this was one way, so that justifies that war killing all those people. And we're going to get into that a little bit later on with this Dave Smith, Douglas Murray conversation. So let's listen to maybe about 20 more seconds of this and then we'll move on.
Historical Association to put together a study of the social studies. And they came up with lots of volumes, but I have one little volume, Conclusions and Recommendations for the Social Studies. And basically that little one is an original book. I wish I'd brought it with me. Too bad. But I don't even dare let it out of the house. It's so important. It called for changing the United States through the schools from a free individualistic economy to a socialist, collectivized, planned economy in the New World Order.
It says that in the book?
Yes.
And that book was written when?
In 1934.
By who?
It was the Carnegie Corporation paid for it. The American Historical Association put it together. And
can people get that book in the library?
No.
No? No?
No, they can't. But I have quotes in my book, from it. But from that time on, Carnegie Corporation consistently, without any hesitation whatsoever, didn't run into any obstruction, poured its money, its tax-exempt money, which we make possible for them to have, into changing American education.
Have you guys ever thought about this? Maybe this is an obvious thing. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong. See, people without money, or maybe I should start off the sentence with people with money want people without money to chase money. While people with money, they've realized that what's more important than money is power and control. And that's what will always allow them to be at the top. But they convince the people that don't have as much money that money should be the ultimate scoreboard. So when we wonder why these rich people donate to certain organizations, or George Soros will give this amount of money to this group, or even Elon will give this amount of money, let's say to Trump, when we see wealthy people giving what a lot of us may say absurd amounts of money, now maybe not compared to what they have, but contributing money to a lot of these different causes, in my opinion, this is why. Because if you don't have a lot of money, the folk that we don't have a lot of money, relatively speaking, right? It's all relative, but compared to what they have, we don't have a lot of money. What do we do all day and every day? We chase money. They're chasing power and control. They're in an entirely different game than us. We're in a game fighting to have money so we can buy materialistic things, so we can quote unquote buy freedom, buy all this other stuff. Yeah, we're chasing freedom by way of money. They're chasing control and power. They're chasing power by way of controlling us. And that's two different things. And when we only look at it from a money standpoint, we're missing out from the big picture of what's actually happening. The wealthiest people in this country, the wealthiest people in the world, they control everything. So even though Bernie Sanders and AOC, they can go on whatever oligarchy tour that they want because Donald Trump aligned himself with Elon Musk, this is something that has been going on for a very, very long time. These politicians are just puppets for the elite. That's why when it comes to the mainstream news outlets, it's no different. Who controls the mainstream news outlets? All the powerful people with money, the BlackRocks, the people that invest in all these pharmaceuticals, all the people that have the most amount of money, they're chasing control and they want to change the way that we think. They want to program us. That's their most important currency, not money. So when we understand that, then we can kind of take a step back and say, well, okay, if it's most important for them to control us, to program us, how are they trying to program us? What would be in their best interest to program us? Why are we learning this type of thing in school? Why are we learning this history in school? Why are we learning it from this perspective and not hearing about it from this perspective? Why are they pushing all this victim stuff on us? All these different things align with the outcome that a lot of these elites are looking to have. And it's just the elites at the top that are having a battle of, well, I'm programming them to do this. Well, I'm programming them to do this. So they all have different pawns that they throw out there on the board and to push their particular agenda. And if we look at it like that, circling back to what we were discussing earlier, talking about the jails and the prisons, how the COs, the correctional officers, prefer to have everybody beefing. You know, you got the whites against the blacks, against the Italians, against the Irish, against the Muslims, against all these different things. They'd rather have that rather than those groups getting along and coming together and then having a mindset on, okay, we're all in this together. How can we push and make certain change and do certain things that are going to implement positive things for all of us in here rather than just fighting each other? This is no different than what happens in the big picture of America and the big picture of the world, in my opinion. So let's move on. I did have one more video that I wanted to show y'all. I'm not sure if I will. Shy, what's up, Shy? Shout out to Shy in the building. Steve wrote, I read the document she's referring to a few years ago. Very interesting. Wow. All right. What's your take, Steve? What's your take? Conclusions and recommendations for the social studies. Wow. All right. I'm going to have to try to find that. Prisons are just a microcosm. Bub, I agree. All right, I'll play the other short that I was gonna play. I'll play that later on for y'all. Let's get into the actual let's get into some of this meat of this show. I think we have, all right, so we're gonna take a look at Bill Maher. So we got Bill Maher, we have his clip from his monologue that he did, I believe was it on Saturday? No, on Friday. And he went to dinner with Trump, I think 2 weeks ago, with Kid Rock, and he finally came on his show. He took off last week, came on this week, and finally gave his thoughts on what happened when he went to the White House. So maybe I'll be over here for now. Maybe we'll give him the full screen for this. But very interesting. I want to preface it with certain things, but I also just want to let y'all see it so y'all can formulate y'all own opinion. So let's go that route. All right, we got it on the screen. Let's see what Bill Maher had to say about his dinner and visit to the White House with Donald Trump. I think that he had an excellent writer doing all that stuff. And Vons, I can't spend too much time on it because other people I know, y'all sitting back. It's Dak. Just want to thank you for checking out our video and visiting the OG Network. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure that you give us a like. And if you're looking to join a community of inspired individuals striving for purposeful abundance, subscribe. And if you're feeling real generous, share the video with some friends and family. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Ew.